I thought I was adopted. Then I learned I was stolen. My real mother had no idea I was alive until I showed up at her door. If someone told you your entire identity was a lie, your birthday, your parents, your name, would you believe them? I didn't. Not at first. But the truth doesn't care about belief. It waits, silent and patient, until it crushes you under its weight. I was 28 when it began unraveling. My name is Riley, and I lived in Portland, Oregon. Just a regular guy with a regular job in IT support, renting a small apartment with too many plants and not enough sunlight. I never thought my life was remarkable. I had two parents, Tom and Linda, who were strict but present. We didn't hug much, and they weren't the "I'm proud of you" type, but they provided. I thought that was enough. Then my girlfriend Sophie surprised me with a 23 and me kit for my birthday. "It'll be fun," she said, giggling, pushing the box into my hands. I resisted, joking that I didn't need a robot to tell me I'm Irish-German. But curiosity won, and I spat in the tube like everyone else. Weeks passed. I forgot about it. Then came the email. "You have new DNA relatives?" I clicked it lazily, expecting cousins I'd never meet. But there it was, a direct match. Parent, 99.9% match. But the name wasn't Linda or Tom. It was Patricia Holloway. I stared at it like it was a glitch. I refreshed the page. I checked the FAQ. Then I went numb. Who the hell is Patricia Holloway? I called my mom. "Hey," I said casually. "Did you ever do one of those ancestry DNA kits?" She paused. Too long. "Why?" "Just curious." I got my results. "Those things aren't accurate, Riley. Don't trust them." She hung up a minute later. It was subtle, but something in her voice changed. Tight. Office like a mask slipping. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I Googled Patricia Holloway. She lived in a small town 2 hours away. Mid-50s, divorced, a florist. She had a Facebook page. I scrolled until I hit an old family photo. A woman, younger, holding a baby boy. My heart stopped. That baby had my exact eyes. I called Sophie. I couldn't breathe. She thought I was overreacting. Maybe it's just a weird DNA overlap? But something inside me knew. I wasn't adopted. I was taken. I didn't tell anyone else. Not yet. I wanted answers. Real ones. But you can't just walk up to the woman your DNA says is your mother and ask, "Hey, did someone steal me from you?" Instead, I started digging. I combed through Patricia Holloway's Facebook posts like they held secrets. There were birthday tributes to a daughter, photos of floral arrangements, selfies with a cat named Pumpkin. Nothing screamed "missing child." But then I found it. A post from 1994, blurry, a scanned flyer. "Have you seen this child?" The baby photo was grainy, but the eyes, again, those eyes. The name under it was mine, Riley, but the last name wasn't the one I grew up with. I felt dizzy, like the world had tilted. I printed the flyer and stared at it for an hour. That night I confronted Linda. I didn't ease into it. "Why is my name on a missing child flyer from 1994? Her face went pale. "What are you talking about?" I showed her the paper. Her hands trembled. She sat down, silent for a long time, then said quietly, "It wasn't supposed to be like this." My blood ran cold. "So it's true?" She shook her head, but not in denial. More like defeat. "We saved you. She wasn't fit to be a mother. You were a baby. You needed love." "You stole me," I said, my voice shaking. "You lied. She was going to give you up. We just got there. First." That sentence broke something in me. Got there first? Like it was a race? A game? She reached for me, but I stepped back. "Who else knows?" Did Dad know? Her silence said everything. I left. Drove without knowing where I was going. But I knew what I had to do next. I had to meet Patricia. We sat in that flower shop for nearly 3 hours. Patricia made tea, though neither of us drank it. We just stared at each other, at the photos, at the space between us that held almost 30 years of stolen time. She showed me the missing persons flyer. My name had been Eli Holloway. The photo was grainy, scanned from an old Polaroid, but it was unmistakably me. A newborn with a mop of dark hair and the same cleft chin. The hospital said it was an accident at first, she said, voice shaking. They thought someone mixed up the records, but then the surveillance tape showed a woman walking out with you in her arms, disguised as a nurse. They never found her. My hands curled into fists. That woman was Linda, I whispered. I don't know how she got past security, or how she changed your name legally. But somehow she did. The police eventually called it a cold case. Patricia told me she never remarried, never had more children. Every time I saw a little boy, I wondered if it was you, she said. But then the years passed. I thought, maybe it was better to stop hoping. I didn't know what to feel. I was angry, yes, furious. But more than that, I was hollow. She reached out, touched my hand. I never stopped loving you, even when the world told me to move on. My eyes stung. I didn't cry. Not yet. But my body felt like it wanted to collapse. I left just before sunset. She hugged me tightly, like trying to make up for every missed year in a single moment. When I got back to the car, my phone buzzed. A text from Linda. Where are you? Another one followed. You've been gone all day. We need to talk. I stared at those words for a long time. I knew what I had to do next. I had to confront the woman who raised me, the woman who stole me. I didn't go home. Not that night. I drove past the exit to my apartment and found myself parked at a 24-hour diner. I sat in the corner booth, stirring coffee I didn't want, staring into the fluorescent hum like it held answers. My phone lit up again. Linda. Calling this time. I didn't answer. I couldn't. The thought of hearing her voice made my skin crawl. Eventually, I went home, but not to sleep. I sat in the dark, staring at the walls I used to think were mine. Every photo on the shelves, every birthday card tucked in a drawer. It all felt staged. Plastic. By morning, I had decided. I texted Linda. We need to talk. In person. She replied instantly. Of course. Come by after work. I walked into my childhood home like it was a crime scene. Tom was there too. Quiet. Tense. I wondered if he knew. Had he always known? Linda tried to smile when she saw me. Hey, sweetheart. Don't call me that. Her face crumpled. Riley, please. That's not even my name. Is it? It's Eli. Eli Holloway. Tom sat down hard on the couch. Linda looked like she aged 10 years in a second. She started to cry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I couldn't have children. We applied for adoption. Got denied. And then I saw the news story about a baby taken. And You what? You drove to the hospital and pretended to be a nurse? You stole me from my mother? She sobbed harder. I thought I could give you a better life. I thought, if I loved you enough, it would make it right. Tom spoke for the first time. I didn't know. Not at first. She told me later. I didn't know what to do. I stood there, shaking. My lungs felt too small for the air. Linda reached out. You're still my son. I backed away. Number, I'm not. I'm someone else's stolen child. And I walked out. That night, I drove back to Patricia's. She opened the door without a word and pulled me into a hug. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The days after were a blur. I stayed at Patricia's house. Well, my biological mom's house. It felt strange calling it home, but stranger not to. She let me stay in her guest room. It smelled like lavender and dust, and every corner was filled with memories I'd never made. I didn't answer Linda's calls, not one. Tom texted once, just, "I'm sorry." That was it. But Sophie, she showed up. She rang Patricia's doorbell 3 days later. I hadn't told her the full truth yet, just that I found something life-changing. When she saw my face, she didn't say anything at first, just hugged me tight. And then I told her everything. Her eyes went wide. Her lips parted like she wanted to interrupt, but she didn't. She just listened. "Jesus, Riley," she said finally. "This is insane." "Eli," I corrected softly. My name was Eli. We sat on the porch until midnight. I asked her if she thought I should press charges, if I should take legal action. She didn't answer right away. "Do you want revenge?" she asked. "Or closure?" I didn't know, but the truth kept repeating in my head. Linda committed a crime, and the justice system had never made it right. Patricia had already done the paperwork to reopen the case. The detective who answered her call said it was rare, but not impossible, especially now, with new evidence. I gave a sworn statement. They reopened the investigation, and suddenly everything wasn't just emotional. It was legal. I had to give up everything I'd ever known, just to find out who I really was. Starting over wasn't as freeing as I thought it'd be. I imagined the moment I walked out of Linda's house that I'd feel lighter, like cutting the cord would float me into a new life. But grief clings, even when it's about people who betrayed you. I moved into a small studio apartment in a neighboring town. Patricia offered her spare room permanently, but I needed space to think, to scream, to fall apart without an audience. I bought secondhand furniture and slept on a mattress on the floor. It was bare, echoey, lonely, but it was mine. The investigation was moving slowly. The detective, a woman named Marla, was kind but blunt. "This case is cold, 3 decades cold. We'll do what we can, but it won't be easy." Patricia checked in daily. She dropped off groceries, left little notes. Once, she taped a picture of me as a baby to my fridge. I almost ripped it off, but instead, I stared at it every morning while pouring cereal. Then the letter arrived. No return address, just my name, handwritten in block letters. Inside was a single sheet of paper. It read, "You think you know the whole story, but you don't. Call me. 503 நட்சத்திரம், 3 கால் 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 நட்சத்திரம். Mu. No name. No signature. Just that cryptic message. I stared at the number for hours before dialing. A man's voice answered. Calm. Measured. "You're not ready for everything," he said. "Who is this?" I demanded. "Someone who knew Linda before she became your mother. She wasn't working alone." My blood turned to ice. "She didn't take you because she wanted a child. She took you because someone paid her to." "What are you talking about? Who?" Click. The line went dead. I called back. Voicemail. Number disconnected. For the next 3 days, I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. My brain ran wild with possibilities. A black market ring? An adoption scam? Was Tom involved more deeply than he claimed? Sophie stayed with me one night. I told her about the call. Her expression shifted from shock to terror. "Eli, you're in danger, aren't you?" I didn't answer, because part of me wasn't sure. Then came the knock on my door. Midnight. I froze. Through the peephole, a woman I didn't recognize, early 60s, pale, eyes bloodshot. She wasn't police. I didn't open the door. I just stood there, heart pounding. She slipped a note under the door. "I know who you really are. Meet me. Tomorrow. Come alone." I picked up the note with trembling fingers. This wasn't over. Not even close. I barely slept that night. My mind spun in loops, trying to decide whether to meet her or run the other direction. But the truth had already become a drug. I couldn't stop. I had to know. The next day, I drove to the address she wrote on the note. A public park. Broad daylight. She was sitting alone on a bench, a scarf wrapped tightly around her neck, even though it was warm out. I approached slowly, my steps hesitant. She looked up and gave a weary nod. "You came?" she said. Her voice was raspy, not threatening, just tired. "Who are you?" She patted the bench beside her. I stayed standing. "My name is Jeanette. I worked at that hospital, the one where you were born. I was a nurse. I saw her." "Linda?" She nodded. "And the man with her. That's what no one talks about. It wasn't just her. She wasn't acting alone." I felt something click inside me. I sat down. "You're saying Tom?" "No, not Tom. At least, not back then. The man she was with wasn't your dad. He was older, clean-cut, wore a hospital badge, but no one recognized him." "And what happened?" Jeanette looked at her hands. "They walked in like they belonged, picked you up like it was nothing." Linda distracted the nurse. The man signed a fake discharge form. By the time anyone noticed, you were gone. My heart was pounding. "Why didn't you say anything back then?" "I did, but nobody listened. They said I was confused, emotional. My supervisor told me to let it go. A week later, I was let go. Quietly. No explanation. Why now?" She met my eyes. "Because I saw your picture on the news last week, that article about the reopened case, and I knew I couldn't die with this secret." My mouth was dry. "Do you know who the man was?" She shook her head. "No name, but I never forgot his face. I can describe him, maybe even sketch him, if that helps." I left the park, with her written statement clutched in my hand like a grenade. Sophie was waiting at my place. I handed her the note. She read it, then looked up at me. "So, Linda wasn't the mastermind?" "Looks like she was just the willing pawn." And just like that, everything shifted again. That night, I confronted Tom. He opened the door slowly, like he'd been expecting me. "Is it true?" I asked. "You weren't part of it from the beginning?" His face was unreadable. "No," he said. "But I figured it out. Years later. She told me the truth one night, drunk, crying. I should have gone to the police. But you didn't." "I was a coward." He looked smaller than I'd ever seen him. Hollowed out. "She said, if we came clean, they'd take you away. That she'd go to prison. I couldn't lose you, even if it was built on a lie." I stared at him for a long time. "You already lost me," I said, and I walked away again. But this time, it felt final. Silence has a strange weight to it, especially after everything's been said, shouted, revealed. The days after confronting Tom felt like walking through fog. Every memory I had of childhood now lived under a question mark. Every photograph looked like evidence from a crime scene. I didn't talk to Patricia for a few days. I needed space, even from her. Sophie stayed over most nights. She cooked, cleaned, tried to fill the silence, but even she couldn't reach the part of me that felt broken. "I'm here," she whispered once, holding my hand in the dark. "You don't have to go through this alone." But didn't I? Who else knew what it felt like to realize your entire existence was built on a lie? That your birthdays were celebrated by your kidnapper, that your first steps, your first words, your scraped knees were stolen moments in someone else's life? One morning, I found myself in the attic of Patricia's house. I hadn't been up there before. Dust coated everything like a second skin. Old boxes, baby clothes, a tiny pair of shoes labeled Eli, 6 months. I sat down and cried for the first time since this all began. Not rage, not betrayal, just grief. Pure, raw grief for the boy I never got to be, for the life that slipped through time like sand through my fingers. That same afternoon, Marla, the detective, called. "We ran the sketch through a database," she said. "Got a hit." My heart stopped. Name was Dr. Glenn West. He worked in hospital administration, retired now, moved to Arizona. We're sending agents to question him. So there really was someone above Linda, someone who orchestrated it. "Why?" I asked. "Why would he help her?" "We're not sure yet, but it looks like there were other cases, similar ones. We're looking into the possibility of a trafficking ring back in the 90s. I felt sick. It wasn't just me. That night, I went for a walk alone. No phone, no noise, just me and the sound of my feet on the pavement. I found myself at the playground I used to visit as a kid. The same rusty swings, the same slide with a dent halfway down. I sat on a bench and looked around, trying to reconcile the boy who played here with the truth I now carried. Then I saw it, carved into the side of the bench. Riley plus Mom equals forever. I had carved that. I remembered it clearly. Linda had brought me here after a fever. She packed my favorite juice. She called me her brave boy. It twisted something in my chest. Because even now, even after everything, I didn't know what part of her was real, what part of her love was genuine, or if it had all just been performance. When I got home, Sophie was asleep on the couch. I sat beside her and whispered, "I'm tired of hating them, but I don't know how to let it go." She stirred, eyes still closed. "Then don't. Just let it be. You don't have to forgive. You just have to breathe." So I did. In, outside. It didn't fix anything, but it was a start. Time didn't heal. That was a lie people told each other to feel better. What time did was blur. It softened edges, dulled knives, but the wounds were still there, just quieter. 3 months had passed since the case reopened. Dr. Glenn West had been taken into custody. His name showed up in 3 other cold cases. Children stolen, names changed, lives rewritten. Linda was arrested next. I didn't attend the arraignment. I couldn't watch her pretend to be fragile. Couldn't stomach the tears that probably fooled the jury more than they ever fooled me. Tom cooperated with the investigation. He wasn't charged, but he lost everything: his job, his pension, his family. We never spoke again. Patricia, though, she stayed. She never pushed, never demanded a title. Some days we talked like strangers, other days like family. It was messy, but it was real. I started therapy. It helped sometimes. I told the therapist once, "I don't know who I am anymore." He nodded and said, Then maybe now's your chance to find out. So I tried. I legally changed my name to Eli Holloway. It felt strange signing it at first, like forging someone else's signature. But slowly, it fit. Sophie and I drifted. Not out of anger, just reality. She'd been there through the worst of it. But once the dust settled, we realized we didn't belong in the same chapter anymore. We cried, we kissed, and we let go. I found a job in a different city, another IT gig, small company, quiet office. No one knew me. No one looked at me with pity or curiosity. I was just the new guy with a weird coffee order. I liked it that way. One evening, I was walking home when a little boy ran past me, laughing, his mother chasing behind. Something about it hit me hard, not in a painful way, just full. Because despite everything, despite the theft, the lies, the shattered trust, I was still here, still breathing, still me, whatever that meant. Later that night, I wrote a letter I never sent. Dear Linda, you stole me. You built your world around a lie. But I still became someone. Not because of you, not despite you. Just because I had to. I don't forgive you, but I release you. Because I won't carry your choices anymore. I'm choosing mine now. I folded the letter, burned it in the sink, and watched the ash rise like ghosts. And as I turned off the lights, I whispered one last truth to the empty room. I am not what happened to me. I am what I decide to become. And for the first time in a long, long time, I believed it.